So there I am. Okay. So I see me here and I see me there. I'm really impressed with myself, y'all. Get this technology down. So you'll see me look up and down because Instagram is above my head. So, all right. So what I want to say is I want to talk about Squid Game. So if you haven't watched Squid Game, this may be a spoiler alert. So don't watch me, don't watch me, don't watch me. Um, so what I wanted to say is that I want to talk about how Squid Game has kind of branded themselves within the series, which I thought was just amazing how they did that. So um, first of all, they had the logo, and I know that they gave them the business card. So if you remember, there was the circle, the square, and the triangle, and it was throughout the series. It came on when the series first came on that first screen, and even in the Squid Game logo, you'll notice that they have the circle, they have the square, and the triangle, which are fundamental shapes, guys. Which is kind of like giving you some clues as to the fundamental games that are coming up, the children's games. Like I said, if you watch Squid Game, if you haven't watched Squid Game, don't watch me at all. Turn me off your screen, because I'm going to talk about it. So when that first screen comes up, it has kind of like the different shapes and everything, and it has a Squid Game logo, and you'll notice that it has a pink circle, a red circle within the logo. It has the square and it has a triangle again. It was brilliant how they used these shapes throughout. Even when they came to the cookie game, then those same shapes were still there. And on the uniforms, because when you have a brand, if you have a uniform, you want everybody to be in the same uniform, right? But you can see that the hierarchy was had showed you who they were by the shapes that were on their helmets, right? So again, the square, the circle, and the triangle. I was like, sweet. It wasn't a logo, but it was a logo, right? And it was on the business card, that gold business card that they handed to the guy that was on his who was hard on his luck, right? So, hey Terry, thank you for joining. So, okay, so we got our logo, and I want to say I have a brand level quiz out there. So, if you want to see what level your brand is at, you can go to my website, which is vvsol.com, and you can do the quick and easy quiz and find out where you're at and get some tips on how to take yours to the next level. I think that Squid Game had their brand at like a above signature level, which means they're going way above and beyond. And first of all, they had their logo, right? Then they have their uniforms, which are in the primary colors because red and green are primary colors, right? And they consistently had that throughout, which is always good. You have to have your logo, your fonts, your colors. Everything needs to be consistent so that you're recognizable. When you think of McDonald's, what colors are they using? They're using reds and yellows always, right? They have their arches, which is their logo. You know who they are when you see them, no matter what country you go to, wherever you go to, it's always the same, right? Then Squid Game also, they knew who their ideal client was, right? They already did their research on these people. They knew that they were down on their luck. Well, they actually had two ideal customers, right? So they had the guy who was down or the girl who was down on their luck and would do anything for a buck. All it was into gambling, loved games, would play any game, was desperate, right? So they did their research. Even when the guy was like, man, no, I don't want to do that. Even when he was in the train station, um, they uh, they knew that this was their ideal client. And then what did they do? They knew that he could not resist the game, right? So they got those those fundamental shapes again, the square, right? They got the red and the blue squares, and you got to flip the cards. So what do they ask you to do? They say go ahead and play this game, and either you get a slap or you get this money. So they knew they had them already because they had did their research on their ideal customer, right? They knew exactly what it was that they needed. They knew that they needed this money, right? So you're gonna do anything, and you love the game. You can't resist the game. So the guy pitched them, right? So this is why I'm saying that their brand level is so signature. They're showing everything. They're doing the pitches. They're showing this irresistible offer that they know that their ideal client just can't do without. Then even the fonts that were used for these for their anything within the game, they are showing these fundamental fonts that don't have, and if you're in the branding game, you know it's sans serif. It doesn't have any flourishes. It's just really square. It was really used in that honeycomb game where they were trying to get the shapes out of it. If it was like these squiggly kind of letters, then it would have been hard. It just wouldn't have worked, right? Um, so, and I'm gonna look over here in my notes because I don't want to miss anything because I really thought this through, guys. I don't know about you. If you watched, you know what you thought about it, but I just thought it was brilliant how they were, really um, using all these type brand type things throughout. Um, so again, the fonts, the colors that they were using, it was only a few colors. They had red, which signified that you were a worker, right? So that was that uniform. And then they had the green that signified that you were a contestant or an ideal client, as we would think of them in our branding language. In our businesses, they're our ideal client. We research them, we figure out exactly what they need. We know that our product is the solution. The game was the solution because this will get them out of their situation that they were in, right? They were in this horrible situation. They were desperate. They needed this money, right? So, um, and if you were in a uniform and you had like, I think it was a square, I think it was a square, then you were like a captain. It showed the hierarchy. They even used it in that way. It was just really cool. Even the sound, everybody knows that sound. If you're on TikTok right now, you know that sound, right? That music is kind of daunting, crazy sound, but it's branded, right? That's their signature sound. Everybody on TikTok is doing the thing where if if you were one of the contestants, because again, spoiler alert, if you refuse to play the game, then you were eliminated, and you know that it was a dire situation for you. If you watched, you were eliminated. It was done. So if you ran, it was done. If you refused to play, it was done. It was a wrap. So that music, it almost like sends chills up your spine, right? That kind of thing. Then so that is part of branding. If you have a signature sound, if you have a signature smell, even in if say if you're in the beauty industry and you're doing pop-ups, well, if you spray or you have like little candles that are your signature smell, people tend to start to think of that when they come into your store as, the way it should smell. Like Bath and Body Works. I don't know about you guys, but when I go into Bath and Body Works, there's a smell, right? Yes, it's definitely a trend on TikTok. That sound, right? You heard it over and over again, right, Terry? So that is part of their branding, right? And seeing that robot girl, okay, we're going into imagery. This is why they are signature. When you see that robot girl, you know for sure that this is about Squid Game. The sound, the robot girl, the uniforms, the imagery of the uniforms, the guy, even them standing, the workers standing in formation, that is part of their branding. Even the imagery of when they go out to play red light, green light, right? It is about them being in a schoolyard, which is part of this. It's telling you these are children's games that we're playing, right? So that's part of the imagery. They purchased wherever they purchased the building that they purchased, just like if you were to purchase some kind of a building for yourself, right? You're going to, it needs to signify who you are. So that's exactly what they did. Everything about that place was about being childlike, or when you were a kid and you would go out for recess, you go out into this big field. Even with the place where they did the honeycomb thing, that was the monkey bars and all that kind of stuff that we used to climb on as kids. That's all part of the imagery that they're using to brand themselves, right? Then when you even the place where they were held, right? This place was a big gymnasium. Yeah, and then the bathrooms, it was like you were back in school. All of that was part of the imagery. Okay, so they had that one, the one ideal client. I didn't talk about the second ideal client. So they had the VIPs. That is another client for them, because they need to get these VIPs on board to spend their money to actually bet on these guys, like these people, as if they were horses, right? So they want to get their money. So they had to have some kind of pitch in order to get them to come in and play this game and bet, and spend all their money so that they could pull together all this money in order to entice the other client, right? So you can easily have one or two clients. You don't necessarily just have to have one particular client, but you only speak to one at a time. And the imagery for the VIP area was different than the imagery for the ideal client that was down on his luck, right? The area for them was more lavish. Their masks were, golden, and were embellished. It was just brilliant how they did this. You know that whatever the pitch was for them, it was like a major deal. They had to wine and dine them, and had all this lavish, luxurious things in their particular area, right? So it definitely was brilliant how they had all this done. Even the imagery of the crates with the bowls when they take them to the incinerator, that was imagery too. And the steps that they go up into to play the games, all that kind of stuff. All that was great imagery. It was all branded so well. It was so consistent throughout the series. I was watching it as just being excited to watch it, and I really wasn't going to watch the show at first, but then I really got into it. But then I was also looking at it from the branding of it all, the imagery of it all. It was just really cool. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so we talked about the ideal clients. Okay, let's talk about pitching, because once you get to a certain level, and again, if you want to know what your brand level is, you can go to my website at vvsol.com and discover your brand level and get tips on how to take your brand to the next level. I just feel like Squid Game, just they did it above the signature level. Um, because they just had everything on point. The pitch, the freebie, as I talked about, was where the guy had the cards, the red and blue cards, where he was kind of throwing them and you could flip them, and really kind of enticing you into the excitement of that game. That is like our offers that we have, right? We come up with these offers to help our people. And the help that he was giving the guy was, hey, I got this. I know you need this money. I've researched who you are. I know that you're down on your last. So I know that you need this. Here's what I think you should do. You should play this game with me, and then you can get this money. You get this $500 or whatever it was. That's our offer. We show that we have like a solution that can help at that point, and that's part of our branding. We have to show our value, right? So he showed, excuse me, he showed the guy the value. He played the game, and then um, he got him, enticed him to go on to what would be our webinar, right? So if they come to the webinar, and then you're going to try to upsell them with your next offer, which is the higher offer. So what they did was they had these people come in, they showed them the big piggy bank, which was, again, great imagery. It's glowing over this wonderful gymnasium. It's enticing you. It's the carrot that's just like dangling, right? Um, so uh, and they gave him an out. You can play the game now. You can go ahead and move forward and go for all this wonderful money. But of course, as we know, there are dire circumstances that happen to you if you lose, right? Um, and so they had to make a decision, and some went home. But then they're at home thinking, like, God, that was such a good deal. Everything I got going on here is not so great. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back. Man, if you're just joining me and you haven't watched Squid Game, please don't watch. Don't watch me. Go and watch the series. What I'm talking about, just to bring people back up to speed, is I'm talking about the branding that they did within the series. I just think that it was just so awesome. And I'm looking at it as a brand strategist. I'm looking at the logos that they created using the shapes, using the squares and the circles and the triangles. And then I'm looking at how they researched their ideal clients, knowing that they were hard on their luck and that they needed this money. Thank you, Terry, for putting my website up there. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to go and see where your brand level is, see if you're on the same level as or surpassing what Squid Game did, you would be past the signature level. Please go to my website and discover your brand level. You can just go to the navigation. It's a very quick quiz. It's about 6 questions, and then we give you tips on how you can take your brand to the next level and really become this memorable brand. Like Squid, for me, is just really memorable. I was just looking at it just like in awe. Like, this is just crazy how they got all this stuff mixed in here, making you remember your childhood, showing us red light, green light, all the children games, those type of things. And so when you got to the pitch level, of course, he's throwing these squares out, still those fundamental shapes in primary colors. We got the red and the blue, again, imagery throughout. And then when it came down to, let me look at my notes. Um, just taking you to the next level after you decided to come back to the game, because you were like, man, that deal, I just can't let it go. And that's what we hope for our webinars, that people come back and say, you know what, I just can't let it go. I need to work with you. So they came back, even though it was dire consequences if they lost the game, and they still wanted to play because it was just an irresistible offer. And that's the way we want our brands to be. We want our brands to be irresistible, and that's what they created, right? They created, if you don't know, at the end, if you made it to the end and you were not eliminated, then you won a boatload of money out of this huge piggy bank, which was just the imagery of that glowing uh, over your head in this gymnasium for hours and hours and days was just irresistible. So you kept playing the game, and that's what they created. And I feel like if you go back and watch it now, you'll see it just like I did. You'll be like, wow, this is some cool stuff. Just looking at how they placed everything. I know everybody is talking about, the violence. There is violence, but I even think that the blood that was everywhere, that was part of their signature brand, um, brand level, because it was something that it was part of the game, right? Um, just going through, even when they were playing marbles and things like that, the way they put together the the area where they were playing marbles in, all that was kind of like reminiscent of, being a kid just in your neighborhood. They made you feel like, and made you remember that kind of stuff throughout this whole series. So that was just my take on it. I was looking at it. First of all, I love the show. The series was great. I am one of those people that made it a hit on next Netflix. But I also looked at it as somebody who is a brand strategist and looking at it as a business person, and how we need to put together our brands in the same way, and making sure that we have a memorable brand that really stands out and stands out amongst our competition. I don't think anything like Squid Game. It just, yes, you have to go and watch it, Terry. It was so good. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it. But TikTok kind of made me watch, because I kept seeing this robot girl. She was part of the imagery again. That in the sound is distinct, right? And I was like, what is all the buzz about? And I went and watched it, and I thought the show was amazing. But from a branding level, it is beyond my signature that I was thinking of. But yeah, make sure you guys go and look on on my website. Take the brand level quiz and see where your brand is at. See what tips that we give you to take your brand to the next level. It might be, taking your branded photos, which is what Squid Game had all throughout. It had branded imagery, that you could see. There were the shapes all over the place, that were reminiscent of what is not really a logo, but it is a logo because of the way they used it, the fundamental shapes, those kind of things. All that becomes a memorable brand for you. It could be, because like when you think of Starbucks doesn't even have the word Starbucks anymore. Their logo really is what you see on their cups and everything. It is there's it makes them stand out. So that is my take on it. I just want to pop on and give you my thoughts. Tell me what you think after you watch it, Terry, or tell me what you think if you guys have already watched it. Did you see all the imagery that I saw? Did you see all the branding that I saw? All right, guys. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Bye.